Do travel talk over here. Oh, hey guys, we are currently live. I need to change this to the Kathy Kennedy Cruise Planners and Denali show. Yes, he's so happy to be back home. So you guys are out there, you know the drill. And is as you guys come on, I'm a little bit early, just to kind of let you know we're going to be starting here about 2 o'clock. Got some good information that I kind of want to share with you guys. And I know you guys wanted to see Denali. He's just getting to be a little thing. He kind of likes this show, I think. I'm not sure. I said, Denali, you want to help me with travel talk? And here he is. So as you guys come on, do me a favor. Sign in. Just they're either little keyboard here or off to the right. Just type your name in there. Let me know you're there. That way we can, we can talk at you, let you know what's going on. We're going to talk about Europe. I got 2 computers and a dog. Hey, Miss Deborah, all the way from North Carolina. Yes, I'm getting, if you see, I see Deborah. There she's there. Yeah. No, we can't really see you, but we do see your name. So yeah, we're back in the States, and I'm having a tough time with jet lag. Holy cow. I think the older you get, the worse the jet lag recovery is. I was so excited. I got to stay up past 8 o'clock. Last night, I think I stayed up past 9, which is about normal for me. No, not past 9, right at 9. But yeah, for like 3 days in a row, I was in at 7:30. So, do you see that, Denali? You see everybody on there? Do we have a glare? Do you guys see a glare? Hey, Miss Deborah Weininger, how are you doing? Getting ready to go to Cap Cana. Trust me, I've been working on that all day long. So, remind me to tell everybody that we do have that meeting at East Coast Wings, talking about going to. I'm ready for somewhere warm. It's like, okay, Europe was cold. It was okay the first week. The second week, it's like, okay, Prague, it snowed the day before. It's like, and it's like 20 degrees. And then I come back home, and guess what? I got the same weather here. So look how Denali's just kind of looking at himself. He says, I'm just going to hang out here and look at it myself. So we got about 2 more minutes. Hopefully we'll get some more on. And I'll run through some things. I know a lot of you guys probably don't play with the keyboard. Don't play with this keyboard. Look at this hair. Look at this hair. Yes, he is one. He was really happy to be home. So I know you guys saw some of the pictures, but he's come on. Get up. I don't know what's to go find. Where's your ball at? You want to go find your ball? Huh? Yeah. Mama's going to have to start here in 2 minutes. Here. Get up there. Woof. Woof. Yes. Yes. He's a handful. So anyway, back to cold weather. And then it goes warm. And then it goes cold. Today we're up to 50. So I might go outside today. And then it's up to 70 tomorrow. What are you guys doing? Tomorrow it's 70 degrees. Now you're going to have to get down. Which is great. And then probably the next day it'll snow. But isn't that Tennessee? Isn't that the way? Okay. All right. All right. We're going to start this. Mom's going to start her little travel talk here in just a couple of minutes. So let's see. Hopefully we'll get some more on. Oh, let's see. Last travel talk I did, it was the same time, but it was pitch black outside. And it was on the Magna, sitting by a fireplace. That was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but if you do, go back and watch it. It was cool. It was we had a wonderful time. And then the time before that, we were actually on the Seine River in France. And that was from my room. And again, it was kind of dark outside as well. So just good to be back. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start. It's 2 o'clock. So this is Travel Talk Tuesday at 2. Kathy Kennedy here. You guys, if you will just let me know you're there, just type in your name. Lord, you're shedding. This is Denali, for those of you who don't know Denali. So this is Denali is glad we're back from Europe. And if you'll just put your name down there, do me a favor, like it, share it. If you like the information, we can keep these going. We'd like to get as many viewings as we possibly can to make sure it's worth you guys' time. It's something that we don't want to do if it's not good and interesting to you. So I have a little short PDF, which I'm going to go ahead and try and shift over to. And get a slideshow going here. All right. So I'm down in the bottom right-hand corner now. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Europe and what it's like. What is it? How is it different, post-COVID versus 2019? 2019 was the last time I was in Europe. And there are some changes. I will tell you, travel is back because on both of those ships, more so on the Viking, I think we were a fuller ship. Viking's a little bit more known name brand versus AMA Waterways, but I was so glad that I got on AMA because I could understand the differences, and that's what we're going to really talk about. What I really want to do. Okay, here comes Denali. He's going to get in the show here. Yes. Okay. They see you. Yes, they do. All right. Can Mama get over here and get to the mouse? Oh, you can change it. All right. So you guys hang on. All right. Here we go. So, ta-da. The first one back. You guys have to see this. Okay. I know I posted this, and for those of you who didn't see it, but this is Denali right after his bath. I did not Photoshop that picture. That was actually him smiling at me right after his bath. He was so happy to be back home. He was still a little damp. And then he's just gotten into everything. I was getting dressed in the morning. He had to take my robe, running up and down the stairs. And I was like, all right, you're going to do that? Why don't you just might as well try it on? So he did. And it fit him better than it fit me. So what can I tell you? All right. So let's talk about travel time right now. I was telling somebody the other day that, and I am behind. So if I'm actually about 24 hours behind where I am typically at. And here's the reason for it. It's not that I'm working less hours. It's actually that I'm working more hours. Like I said, we were in here till about 8:30. Last night was the longest I got to stay up, but we're in super early in the morning. Now, I know we always tell you guys our office hours are from 10 till 7. Well, I'm in, and you guys probably know you get emails from me as early as probably 5:36 in the morning. So I'm in. It's just that we have to have time to get a lot of work done before we can start answering a lot of phones and taking on more workload. So the time right now is really around making sure the protocol that wherever you're going, it is different. It's not like, okay, you just go get your boarding passes and off you go. Now it's making sure the countries that you're going to, that you know what the proper protocol is going to be. You want to make sure that you've got the documents that you need. So there's so much time involved on I call it the back end of your trip than it is more so on the front end of your trip. And unfortunately, in some cases, it's tying us up to doing, like I've got quotes I need to get out today, again, running about 24 hours behind just because of the time we're investing, or any good agent, I would hope, the time that they're investing in making sure that you have everything you need. So the other thing is, during this COVID timeframe, a lot of systems for companies, both cruise lines, land, resorts, especially air, were stretched and changed and moved. And by that happening, there is all kinds of errors. There are literally, I've been trying to fix a booking. God bless, Klein and Clara, that are like been angels to work with, because it was one of their major bookings that, we're going to have, no, come here, Denali, come here. You must have seen the horses. No. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. So it's fixing system errors and a lot of people new people that's coming on board that we're having to go back and and just do a lot of double, triple, quadruple work in order to come here. I guess he wants to say a few things about during travel talk time. So I know it's because Pat's playing with the horses. So my apologies, but it is a lot of stress right now to make sure that your trip that you're taking, because there are more I's to dot and T's to cross, that we want to make sure that you have a fabulous trip. It's just taking us, it's a little bit more challenging right now, but thank God we have done it many, many years, and we're good at it. It's just takes a little longer. Thanks for the patience. All right, my first trip. Let's talk about Viking. All right, first off with Viking, I will honestly tell you, as far as getting ready or getting the client ready, me double checking and making sure you're getting what you need to be, Viking is on top of it. They didn't send me one email with all these different links that you had to go through and make sure that, no, it's like they've timed it. And it's like, okay, take care of this first, which was the Verifly. Now you want to take care of this. And now you want to take care of this, which allowed me, and they sent it directly to the client. Plus I was on the ship, so they were sending it to me. I was getting it as well, which is the other reason why it's so important for me to get out there and experience this, because I can better help you prepare for your trip, whether it's Caribbean. I mean, we've been to Alaska, we've been to Cancun, we've been to the Caribbean, and now we've been all over Europe. So I think we're pretty qualified here to make sure that you are good to go on your next trip. So Viking was very good at getting out layers what you needed to do to prep, and it was very, very simple. This is kind of where we were going. So once you get all those documents and everything put together, it is, and you've got your, now documents are not being sent out, but yet you've got it electronically. You've got your air and everything. It's just very, very simple that once you get, now the reason why I chose Paris originally, which got changed, but was because it is an easy round trip. We flew out of Knoxville. We hopped into Washington, Dulles, and then into Paris. Literally, I was in Paris within, I think, 7.5 hours from Washington. Of course, it was that morning. Immediately picked up from Viking. Very easy transition. We then boarded the ship with Viking, which was a little bit, of course, you needed to show all your COVID test, your vaccine cards. I will tell you that your vaccine cards that you have to have them and carry them always. Now, we did not carry the actual cards. We put those in the safe with the passports. But what we did is Viking made us a copy of them. I also had a copy, made a picture on my phone, because if you needed to get into a restaurant, if we needed to in Giverny, I know I'm saying that wrong. I was in there for a week. I still can't speak French. So when we were there, we had, you couldn't get into the outdoor park without showing it. You can't get into restaurants without showing it. You can't have a cup of coffee without showing it. So it's much, much more stringent over there to have those cards with you. When we boarded the ship with Viking, our temperature was taken, and then we were shown to our room, and then we immediately were tested. Now, what that means, and I don't know if you guys looked at the Viking, but they test you every single solitary day. And it's not the nose thing. It is just, you just spit. Basically, it's saliva. So you spit in this little bitty test tube, which I've got really good at doing the spit thing. After 7 days, I was really good at it. So you just spit in this little test tube, and then you put it in the envelope, and then you just hand it in. Literally every day, every person on that ship is tested. So the environment, the bubble that you're around is completely healthy. Also on boarding the Viking ship, they have, my temperature is consumed. Every time I walk up and down the hall, it's having a temperature gauge. So it has an idea if anybody's temperature has gone up or down. And of course they do a lot of fogging and things like that, which are behind the scenes that you never see. But I will tell you, the ship was absolutely immaculate. The service was, I thought they were great before. They were beyond great this particular time and on the ball. I can't, food, excursions, everything. This is where we went to. We spent 2 nights in Paris. And again, if you guys want to go down to my Facebook and see some of the pictures of where we were, this ship, I love how Viking, because they're so large and they have so many ships, kind of get prime parking space, I want to say. And that parking space was, you go up on that top deck and you're looking right at the Eiffel Tower. And it was really great because at night, of course, it lights up and then it does the whole twinkle thing. And to be able to eat right off of the Aquavide, which is the very front of the ship, was pretty spectacular. So having dinner kind of quote unquote under the Eiffel Tower was kind of neat. It was a lot of good memories there. And of course, Paris itself, I don't know if you guys, I've never been to Paris, but I will tell you, I would like to go back. I'd like to go back and spend a little bit more time on land. So if you guys think about doing this particular trip, I would suggest that you go in a couple of days early or stay a couple of days later, because that way you'll have more time to go to like the Louvre, go down Champs-Elysees, the Trompe de Lion, Triomphe, or whatever. I'm so bad at this stuff. But once you leave Paris, the sailing was absolutely beautiful. All these little French towns. And again, I've been in and out of France. I've spent more time in southern France than I have in and around this area. It was absolutely beautiful. When we got to Riom, which is at the tail end there, we then embarked on a bus. And that's where we spent the entire day down, or actually traveling to Normandy Beach and Juno Gold Beach. And then we spent some time on Omaha and went to, of course, the cemetery, and coming back, and there was Veterans Day. Very, very emotional, very draining. It was a draining, emotional day, but it was so good to experience that. If you guys have never done it, it was really pretty spectacular. So that's what I'm going to say about Viking. We did 2 tapings on, as you guys know, I'm doing kind of he wants to go. Pat, I don't know if he's inside. Let him out. He wants to go play outside. I guess he's done with Travel Talk. Come here. Denali. Come here. You're about to find out how a stubborn dog why he gets his way all the time. So, I forgot where I was. So I did a whole month of taping that we're doing with Daytime Tri-Cities, partnered up with them. So every Wednesday, so you want to be sure and watch Daytime tomorrow. There's going to be another segment on river cruising. I did 2 with Viking and I did 3 with Alma. And it's just because Alma just wanted, they just loved that whole thing. And then I'll tell you about them in a few minutes. They sent a lot of people in. All right, I'm going to let him out. I'm going to let him into. Stay with me for a second. Okay, go. I tricked him. He's in the mudroom. I tricked him. I'm back. So he'll probably park in the other room. So anyway, river cruising for the month in with Daytime Tri-Cities. Be sure and watch that. The great thing with Viking, I don't know if it'll be the one that shows tomorrow, but I was with the cruise manager on this one, and we really talked in detail about the protocol. I know there is still a concern out there for traveling and safety and that type of thing. And I think, I know I feel better by going that I feel better about sending you. And better yet, that particular segment with the cruise manager, with actually the hotel director, will give you an idea of what Viking is actually doing. So from there, we jumped from Paris. We took a flight over to Budapest. So we went from Paris to Budapest. It was my first air nightmare. It was my first air nightmare. I have flown all year on United, American, and this air was on Air France. And because we weren't an international flight, so because we were actually already in the country and going here, they didn't necessarily always get concerned with translating into English, which even made it even more fun to figure out where and what's going on. So the plane had mechanical issues, which I'm assuming nobody really told me or that I could understand it. So it had mechanical problems. So then it's like all of a sudden we stood there and stood there and stood there. And then, long story short, then we were changed to gate. So we all had to run to another gate because then they had to change the plane out. The complete plane had to be changed out. So then they put us on a bus. And from that bus, then they drove us out to this plane. And this plane took off. And to make a long story short, adding AMA Waterways to this trip was a last minute decision. Courtesy of Kristen, which is the owner. I met her down in convention, and she was animate about me getting on their brand new ship called the AMA Magna. And I told her I've been on, I think, 4 or 5 river cruises, but I'd never been on AMA. And quite frankly, I'd never really found one, I shouldn't say this, that I love as much as I did Viking, but I'm going to tell you that I'm a loving my AMA. I do love AMA, and I love AMA and Viking, and they're for 2 different reasons. And I'm going to kind of go through that here in a few minutes as to what that entails. But let me explain to you what happened on this trip. So now all of a sudden we're landing. Now, I didn't tell you this part. We got off of the ship in Paris on November the 4th. This ship with AMA Waterways actually disembarked November the 3rd. So the ship was sitting in Budapest overnight. So Kristen said, no problem. You can we'll have a private driver pick you up, which they did, and we'll bring you straight. You just get on. You're just, it'll be a day and then we'll sail off. Fine. I've been to Budapest 4 times. I'm okay with that. Well, of course, the plane was late. Of course, Air France. So we had no idea. I had emailed one person that was going back and forth with AMA about the TV show. And so I said, can you tell anybody, let them know, we don't know when we're landing. We don't know if anybody will be there. So I had no idea. So you couple this with, okay, protocols and flying from one country to the next. Long story short, it was no problem at all. Budapest had no issue. We didn't even have to go through immigration because it was Europe to Europe. So as soon as we got the luggage, we go running out into the public hall, and there's a gentleman from AMA holding the sign. We get into a private car, and I said, but the ship has already sailed, right? He said, yep, the ship's already sailed. He says, we're going to try and meet up with it at this next location. So lo and behold, I've never had a ship actually pull over and pick me up, but this one did. So we go, and it came to another, and I guess the captain kind of explained to everybody that was already on board that we're having to come over and pick up 2 more passengers. Of course, we were labeled that entire time that we were the ones that were picked up after that. But talk about the service. Talk about amazing. So this is what we did here. After I got on the ship, finally, in an amazing suite. I will say that both rooms, Viking upgraded us to a suite, and AMA just, amazing suite. I think some of you maybe saw some of the pictures in there. I mean, huge soaker tub. Anyway, so we'll get back on this. So we're now we got out of Budapest. We went into Slovakia. Now, on some sailings, this is the Danube. So on some sailings here, I've noticed, and I know Viking has done it in some cases, that they skipped Slovakia because people wanted more time in Vienna. So in many cases, I never have been to that country. It was an extremely, all of Europe was immaculate, absolutely immaculate. You couldn't find trash on the streets. I never saw any homeless people. I never saw it in every single country I went to, every single place I went to. And it wasn't like I was in metropolitan places. I was in little small towns, and It was all that. So it was like everybody took, and then of course mask. And we should talk a little bit about mask. Mask on the ship, and this was true for ocean, by the way, as well. If you're going from one place to the next, or if you're walking like down the corridors or traveling from one, they want that mask on. And then once you get to a location, like you sit down, like we would go sit down in the lounge, or we go sit down in the dining room, or we go sit down in a bar or whatever, or in the spa or the gym, which this one had. No, you didn't need a mask. So, but when you're outside in any of the countries, if you're outside, distance, no mask. But if you go inside, absolutely, there's a mask. If you're gonna, most of the time showing the vaccination cards. And sometimes I didn't really have anybody ask for identification. I just showed them a card. But each country was a little different. So once we left Hungary and we went into Slovakia, there was a quick online form we needed to fill out. When we got into Vienna, no, there wasn't any form to fill out because every country is a little bit different. So we spent 2 wonderful, I think, days in Vienna. Dörzgen, we did walking, and we'll talk about, there's different excursions at each one of these. And I don't want to go into too much detail because I'm actually going to do a comparison here, and you'll understand where Viking and Alma are totally different, and where in some cases you may want to do an Alma on this particular voyage, but maybe choose Viking on this one. So they both have very pluses and minuses. So anyway, this is how we went through Austria. Spent actually more time in Austria than I ever have. I think more of the Danube with Viking is we actually do Vienna, and then we kind of skirt into Germany, and we hit more of the German ports, Passau, and then from Passau we went to Belshofen. I can say German, but I can French. Very tiny, little, unique town. This is where we did the Oktoberfest. And again, you'll understand what I'm talking about. We filmed it. We filmed the Oktoberfest with Amma. The one that we showed last week on Daytime was with the spa and the workout and the wellness program. We have one that I have, the actual owner was on board, not Kristen, but one of the other owners was on board. And I got time to do a segment with him. And then we did one with the Oktoberfest in Vilshofen, where the cruise manager, they each have different titles. So anyway, this is how we did it. The only thing is when we got to Austria and we got to Germany, not any mask was allowed. It had to be an N95 mask. Now, I had prepared for that going over there. I had read that that was some of the, again, protocols. We've got these sites we can go to make sure we got protocols. So I had some N95s, but no matter what, you had to have only, and I hate those things. Oh my God. I tell you what, I feel for those guys in medical that have to wear those all the time because they are just, they're hard. So those were the 2 things. And then we had a really tricky form we had to fill out for Germany. But the beautiful part of Alma is that they truly, truly help you with that in their staterooms, besides the Wi-Fi that you get. And their Wi-Fi on this ship was amazing. Not to mention I had the tech guy from corporate with me, but the Wi-Fi was amazing. But in your room, you actually have an Apple computer that's in your room. And you can go in there and fill these forms out and things like that. So anyway, this was where we visited. So all in all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries we were in. We had planned to go up to Czech Republic, honestly. That was an excursion. And again, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. It was an excursion that we could do. But because of our timing with the TV station, we weren't going to get back in time. So we had to opt not to get into Czech Republic. But it was an amazing, amazing trip. So let's talk about this. Let's compare the 2, and I'll kind of educate you guys about river cruising and, I want to say who did better. What is it, that magazine where it's who wore it better? Well, let's see who did it better. And it's really so much of a tie. It's not even funny, because Pat and I were just having dinner together, and I said to him, I said, okay, which one did you like better? And it was like we had a hard time saying. And so then we decided to break it down. So when you talk about pre-trip information, pre-trip, and what I'm talking about is getting you prepared in post-COVID times from the cruise line standpoint, I'm going to give that one to Viking. Simply because there is so much information that you can really get bogged down in it, and the information trickled down, and you had time to make sure you had everything right. AMA, however, did give you all the information that you needed. I just found it a little more challenging to get through some of those links. But then again, that's the reason why you have me, and we can do that. Now let's talk about the ships. Well, I went from small to large. The ships on the Seine River, which is in Paris, are of a smaller. If you've been on a Viking longship, well, they're longer than this one. This one has to be shortened. This one has, where the longship has 190 passengers, this one has 168. So it's a little bit shorter ship. It's a new ship. Both of these ships were brand new. That's what was so exciting about it. The top deck on the one with Viking had become much more leisure, much more. There was couches and just areas to relax. And I could see in the summer how people would just live up there. It would just be great. It was a little chilly for us. The Alma Magna, on the other hand, is, if you look at the width of a river ship, this one is twice the size, twice. So this ship was built specifically for the Danube, and the reason she can't go anywhere else, she's only going to be on the Danube. And the reason why she's going to only be on the Danube is because she could only fit through those locks. The one thing I learned, and I didn't know, is that the length of a ship is based off of the bends in the river. If you ever look at the Danube or the Rhine or the Seine or any of the rivers in Europe, they're like this. And you can only have a ship as long or as short as one of those bends. And that's the reason why in Paris, it has to be much smaller. And the same thing on the Danube, again, the length, but is the same thing, but again, the size of the lock. And AMA really, this is one of a kind ship, one of a kind. It has the spa and the wellness, the spa center, complete spa, by the way. It has a complete workout center, has a complete wellness. So I'm talking about the ship. So complete wellness, one person dedicated to, making sure your workouts, and this is all included. There's no extra here, that you can do yoga. There's spinning bikes on the outside deck. So you're literally doing spinning classes as you're sailing down the river. Every single port, they have biking tours. I know Louise would love this, but you can pull those bikes, come out from above, and they get lined up, and they all have biking tours. So by having a wider ship, you can do that. You saw where I did Travel Talk Tuesday last week, there was a fireplace behind us. Well, there's two. There's another one on the other side. But to walk through that, there's this huge cinema. So you actually can have a cinema. Now, I've been told not too many adults have been using it, sometimes the kids. So there's a difference. The difference is Viking does not take kids. AMA does. So if you are thinking, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be nice to have a multi-generational river cruise so that you could bring the kids, or you could bring the teenagers. Talked to a client yesterday who has a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old, wants to see all of Europe, wants it all kind of inclusive. This is perfect, because they are going to offer, and we'll get down to excursions and stuff, they're going to offer things for a more active person. So if you ask me about, and the other thing on AMA, on Viking, you have the main dining room, you have the aquavit. Yeah, that's it. On AMA, you have 4 restaurants. So you have the chef's table. You have something called Jimmy's, which is kind of a, um, with the family style servings. And then you have the main restaurant, and then you have kind of the al fresco, which is in the front of the ship, and you can watch the views. So from a ship perspective, I'm putting them at a tie because they both are married to the itinerary and they both operate the itinerary wonderfully. The itinerary, again, based off of where you're going and what you're doing, is that you've got the ships. I know over in Portugal and Douro, Deanne and Ellen just did that. There's a ship that's built just for that. So there are a lot of itineraries. And again, if you guys do not have my EVP for Viking, I have special pricing groups that we can tell you all those itineraries. And then, of course, if you have one for AMA, we can also look that up for you. Let's see. We talked about protocols already, so the only thing with that I didn't talk about, we talked about the protocols with Viking. With AMA, the only one, we did not get tested every day. There was temperature checks throughout, and then we were watching or doing the protocols per country. Other than that, there was no special testing. They did do testing at the end because you need that piece of paper to fly back into the United States that states you had a negative COVID test. The difference here with Viking, that is totally free. There's no charge. With AMA, there is a charge. So you do pay for your test with AMA. Food, I give this one to AMA. Well, let's see. It depends on your palate. I would give it to AMA because AMA is all gourmet. And you're looking at least 4 minimal courses, 4 to 5, very small, amazing gourmet food. Viking is very good food, but it's a little more plentiful and more of the same, where AMA has huge diversity. So I loved it in the beginning, but towards the end, man, I was fighting for a hamburger. Fortunately, in the al fresco, you can get a hamburger. So the food was great on both, but I would probably lean towards AMA because their food was amazing. Spirits, this is always it. Of course, you're going to get beer, wine, and soft drinks at lunch and dinner. They flow freely on both of them. The difference is Viking, you can actually purchase a spirits package. So you can, if you want to go down at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and have a cocktail, you can with the spirits package, or you can, but you'd have to pay for it. With AMA, they don't. There is no spirits package there. What they do have is from 6 to 7, which is kind of your pre-dinner hour. They have what they call a sip-in sale. So you can go in, and obviously they always have a drink of the day. I know Vedas would like that, a drink of the day, but you can get whatever you want. So they don't feel they need to. The other choice is, remember, if you go offshore and you see a nice fine bottle of French wine or a 6-pack of German beer, and you want to bring it back on, you can. I mean, you can, and you can stick it in your refrigerator. So that's the difference in spirits. Excursions. Viking offers one included excursion at every port, and then they offer some optional excursions at a price. And I know I'm going to run a little over here, but I kind of want you guys really to understand the difference in the two, because I think they're both great, and I'm going to support both of them. Excursions with AMA, amazing. They're all included, and you get 4, 5 choices. I'll give you an example. In Passau, all right, we had a walking tour in the morning included. Some of them decided to go to Salzburg, which is where Sound of Music was filmed, and was included, where I had done it before with Viking, but I had paid for it. But it's included with AMA. Or if you did the walking tour and you wanted to go into the Czech Republic, which again was another pretty big excursion, again included. You can choose those things. So when it comes to excursion, and then you also have the bicycling, there is a hike, but not necessarily like hike. One of the wonderful memories I had was, if you're in the Wachau Valley, that you see all those vineyards, And I always wondered, my God, how do they pick those? Well, we actually hiked to the top of one of those vineyards and came down in one of those small towns. Again, all included. And then we had a wine tasting at a vineyard there. Just a lot of things. So excursion wise, I give it to Amma. Cabins, they're very similar. Amma's, of course, because of a larger ship, you're going to have larger cabins. But they all have the amazing amenities. You have the French balconies. The Amma Magna had more balconies. So there's a veranda and a French balcony is just the window. However, I was in a suite on Viking. I will tell you, I had the balcony and the French balcony. That was, I'm going to have a hard time getting on a Viking ship without having to book one of those again. Service, hands down, a tie. They all bent over backwards for what you do. And then the last one is going to be price. Price is because with Viking, you're going to get more of an all-inclusive package because they do all their air promotions. Amma is you start with the base level and then you add up to, and then you have to get their current air promotions. So depending on the itinerary, I want to say they are comparable, and I'm saying we could compare them for you, but I would probably say the least expensive is going to lean towards a Viking. And I think that's it. So my last photo is my wonderful partner here who has deserted me and is not helping his dad rake leaves, but I had to get this one today. He, for some reason, doesn't care for a bed, but he does like that table. So that's kind of my, let's see, I'm going to get out of this and get back over here and see if I have any questions. All right, good deal. I got a lot of guys here. See, I couldn't see any of this before. So I hope that was helpful. I am extremely excited I got to do Amma. I'm glad Kristen, which was the owner, was so stubborn. Well, she wasn't stubborn. She was amazingly insistent. She was like, even the next morning, she texted me, okay, here's the flight you can take from Paris over, and so on and so forth. So they are wonderful. And I just saw Vicky hop on with Piggly Wiggly here. We briefly talked about Travel Talk Tuesday, and Vicky, you and I are we're going to have a whole time down in Cap Cana together that we're going to talk about wine cruises. Amma does these, where they actually have a wine host that comes on, and you can bring these guys on. Again, if you have 5 cabins, after 5 cabins, you can get a fare free. You get 10 cabins, you basically go, you and your person, for free. So, and then you have a wine person that comes on. I don't know from where they offer different ones, and you sample all kinds of wines and different things. It's amazing. It's amazing. We were gone for a really long time, but I will cherish those memories. And I have to tell you this before I run down through all this stuff. And, after coming out of COVID, I mean, we're all sitting there going, I've traveled like a maniac this year. And there's 2 reasons for it. The one reason is to make sure I'm experiencing the protocols and what you're having to go through, not just reading the text and saying, yeah, go do this, but I'm actually experiencing it and giving you some insight as to what's going on. But the other reason why I'm doing it is to really create memories, because I never know when they're going to be yanked away and you're not going to be able to do it. So a couple of things on that. I just want to share with you some of my amazing memories off of this last one. Well, the first one was the very first memory, I think, was going to Normandy. Heartfelt emotion. I totally changed the whole concept of how the French view the Americans. People were coming up to us and thanking us and thanking you. Thank you so much for freeing our country. Just the gratitude, and then witnessing all of the lives that were lost, for that. That was huge. That was monstrously huge. The other big memory I had was in the Wachau Valley. Wachau? Did I say it right? I said it right on the ship. But we got that chance to be able not just to view a UNESCO World Heritage Site, because you sail down and all those vineyards, and of course there's ruins of castles and little medieval towns around you. But to actually get off the ship and actually make the climb up and experience and walk those vineyards, like many of they hand pick all these grapes for these wines. And this was in Spitz, which is just a wine town. And they mainly do white wine, but I learned a ton about wines. And there is a little winery there. Everybody, by the way, everybody in the village, they all have, acreage and vineyards. I mean, they all have vineyards. But to be able to hike that, see that whole thing, and experiencing, come down to these little bitty towns, we come walking down. I have to tell you, it's so funny. So it's like you go, a Coca-Cola, if you go and you have like this little containers at Coca-Cola, and you can open it up, you put your money in and you get your drink out, right? Well, we come down, all of a sudden there's something very similar to that, but it's for wine. It's got all these different wines, and it's just this, like it's a Coca-Cola box that you would, put your money in and get your wine. So I walk over it and I said, "Oh my God, I've never seen this. Is that you could get white, red, all this wine it's sitting it's on the streets. It's just, So she says, yeah. I said, well, where do you put the money in? Not that I was going to buy any, but I said, well, where do you put the money in? How does this work? She says, just open the door up and you can just get what you want. And it is on a honesty that you put the money in. There's no machine. It's just a door refrigerator with all these different wines. You've got the price of them there, and you just put your money in the box and then take out what you want. And there was 2 or 3 of them like that. It's just that. And then I said to her, we walked past the police station. This was on a Sunday. And I said to her, I said, doesn't look open. She says, no, the police doesn't. They're closed on Sunday. I went, what? She said, we don't have any crime, especially on Sunday. We're not going to have any crime. I'm not making this stuff up. Isn't that so amazing? I don't know how you guys, but I'll tell you what, to experience that is huge for me. And then the last thing that I want to share is my major, major memory was Amma they went over and above making sure we could get these tapings done with daytime. We did tapings simply because I wasn't sure, like we did have problems sailing, connecting with Wi-Fi and stuff. So it was a good thing that we were taping it. But what they did is they sent this guy named Flora, and I think you guys met him on the last Travel Talk Tuesday, or he's very camera shy. He was off to the side. He's from Romania. And then they sent in the head tech guy. I mean, this is out of home office. Head tech guy. He lives in Netherlands. Not Amsterdam. It's kind of like in the middle. He showed me on a map right in the middle of the Netherlands. And then they sent John in. You guys met Mr. Charisma, John, with that voice of his. He's, of course, from the UK. And the last 2 nights, I didn't know this, but they had literally the whole chef's table, that whole dining room was just us. They had just done it for Pat and I and the 3 of them. And it was a whole chef's table. I think I put pictures up of what we ate, which was crazy. And we had some amazing stories. Like Florin would talk about when he was being raised up, he was he lived in a communist country. And when he would go to like kindergarten, the teacher would ask him, well, is your dad listening to radio? And if I said my dad was listening to radio and maybe it was the free radio, they would go lock my dad up. They would come to the house and lock him up. So hearing stories, and then of course where he is now, free and this amazing entrepreneurial executive with Amma. And then, hearing stories from the Netherlands and hearing all these stories, then here we are from the US. If you don't travel, you won't experience that. You won't just experiencing that and feeling that is a memory that I'll always cherish. And obviously I have gratitude to those guys for everything that they did, which was just absolutely mind-blowing. So I know I am running on like 15 minutes over what I should, but I hope you guys get this, that travel is back And you need to be doing travel in order to get these memories. So I have Miss Brenda Sample on there. She says, it all sounds like fun. It was fun. It was emotional. It was great. Miss Darla Klein, she's out there in Tennessee somewhere on the other side. Vicki, you and I and Piggly Wiggly are going to talk about some. And if for you guys that are interested, by the way, in wine tours, we're going to make Vicki head of her wine tours, or we can create them for you guys for a wine group, whatever how you want to do it. Miss Pat Jones is watching. We got Miss Laura J. Thank God you are well and at home. Arthur Day, I hope you got your fins up, buddy. We're headed down to Cap Cana that way. Miss Judy's watching. Thank you. Amigos, I need to talk to you. I need to hear what the doctor said about you today. But yes, Mr. Veda Sheep. Oh my God, you would have loved Sip and Sail. They had a drink of the day every day. I thought of you every bloody day we walked in there. And of course, Miss Deborah. So I am going to hop off here. I know I've bit your ear long enough, but I hope it was worth it. And again, if anything, I hope I whet your appetite we want to get you guys out there and traveling. It is safe. There are rules and regulations. There are things you need to do. You do need to be vaccinated, especially to go to some of these places. So, but I'll work you through that. So between now and then, hopefully I'll see you. Be safe, be sane, be satisfied. I think last week I said sober, but just throw that one out. Let's just do sane, satisfied, and what was the first one? I can never do this again. You guys be good. Talk to you later.